Hello, this lecture is on concept testing. Concept testing is the process of soliciting customers' reaction or response to one or few product concepts that the product development team has already developed and is considering for further development. So, where does concept testing fit within the product development process? Concept testing can fit at many points in the development process. In upfront planning, you do not have a detailed concept. You do have an idea for an opportunity, and you might want to bounce it off few customers. Usually we do not do this, but it's possible. Usually it is an internal decision up front. You can say that we have an idea for this opportunity, so let us show it to few customers and test it before we write a mission statement in order to better capture the mission statement. Usually that would be a very qualitative test. As we get more detailed, we can be more quantitative about it, as in here in the concept development phase. At the end, usually around the end of concept development phase, following concept selection. The reason it is important to do it here is that this development so far is relatively inexpensive, and the later downstream development phases are very expensive. So this is a useful time to have a reality check. Certainly at the end, we would also want to do a very quantitative testing, but this would be related more to production ramp up. This is usually a beta prototype or an early production version to customers and predict something about unit sales and get some feedback from customers about some last minute changes before full production. We will mainly cover concept testing in the concept development phase of the product development process. Again, these are the different activities within concept development. You probably have memorized them by now. As you see, concept testing is mainly performed at the concept development phase after concept selection. Concept selection is closely related to concept testing in that both narrow down the set of concepts under consideration by the team. However, while concept selection is performed by the team members, as we have seen earlier, concept testing is based on data gathered directly from potential customers. The reason that concept selection is performed first is that the team cannot feasibly test more than a few concepts directly with potential customers. Concept testing is also closely related to prototyping, because in order to communicate the concept to customers for concept testing, you need some form of representation, which is usually some kind of a prototype, as we will discuss in the next lecture. Finally, concept testing is also related to economic analysis. The major outcomes of concept testing is being able to estimate the market size and unit price by asking if customers are willing to buy it and at what price. This information will be key in performing the economic analysis of the project. Concept testing can be useful in many situations. Go, no-go decisions. At some point we decide, do we just stop development? We thought we have a viable concept, but the customers do not confirm that. The result of concept test may surprise us and force the team to make such tough decisions. What market to be in? Sometimes we have a concept for a product, but we are not sure what market to be in. For example, in the scooter example in the book, is it right for the team market, for college market, factory transportation, urban transportation? We're not sure. All those were viable markets for this company, and they were not exactly sure which one to pursue. So this was really a test for them. The concept selection process may result in 2 or 3 potential concepts. We think they are all good, but we did that based on internal assessment, and we need some external validation for that to help us choose the right one. This one is same as above, except you show a single concept that you selected and you are looking for customer reconfirmation. The fifth one is soliciting improvement ideas. Soliciting improvement ideas with some open-ended questions. How can the concept be improved to better customer needs? The last one is forecasting demand by approximating how many units are likely to be sold and what are customers willing to pay for it. These are the steps of concept testing. First, it starts by defining the purpose of the test, the questions that the team likes to answer with this test. And this is from the previous slide. Knowing the purpose is essential for designing an effective testing instrument and the prototype required for that. Choose a survey population. The population of potential customers surveyed should reflect the target market for the product. Else, we will be getting either biased or wrong estimates and conclusions. Sample size is another important issue here to keep in mind. How many people to interview? There are simple statistical techniques that allows us to draw confidence intervals around the results based on the sample size. The key here is it should be large enough, the sample size should be large enough that the team can draw significant conclusions, but also practical, especially if the interview process is expensive. So you want to go also into smaller size. Choose a survey format. The commonly used survey formats are face-to-face interviews, telephone calls, potential postal mail, emails, and internet-based testing. Communicate the concept. The concept can be communicated in many different ways. We are really like to do what we really like to do, especially if the goal is to measure purchase intent, is to be able to present the concept in a way similar to the information they should have when making a purchase decision. In increasing richness of description, they can be verbal description, sketch, photos, or rendering, storyboard, or video. Simulation, looks like prototype, works like prototype, and full prototypes, sometimes called beta prototypes. We'll see these example of these in the next few slides. Uh, measure customer response. This depends on the purchase and the purpose of the test. If the purpose is to measure purchase intent, then the scale would be something like definitely would buy, probably will buy, maybe will buy, probably would not buy, and definitely will not buy. Finally, the results are interpreted for making a decision about the product concept or forecasting sales volumes or concept improvements. Let us see how these steps were applied in the scooter example in the book. This example is about a three-wheeled scooter, electric scooter, from a startup company called EM Power in Cambridge, Massachusetts. They are out of business right now. So the purpose of the concept testing here, the company was not sure what market they should be in. Should it be for teens to zip around town or to sell it to college students to go around campus, or do you sell it to factory or security workers, people who might usually ride bicycles instead around those facilities, or do you sell it to airport workers or maybe rent it to passengers around terminals? So the purpose of the test for this particular product was what market to be in. So this requires to run a test in each one of these markets. You cannot infer from the test for students whether it will work for factories, for example. The sample population, which is the second step, might be college students who live 1 to 3 miles away from campus, and the other one is factory transportation. The survey format, how you are going to contact the customers. In this case, they choose face-to-face interviews because they can actually show them the product, but it can be internet-based, for example. So the next decision is how to communicate the concept, but you have to be careful how to communicate it, especially when it is incomplete and people tend sometimes to pick on the bad aspects of the concept faster than the good ones. So there are lots of choices from verbal description all the way to full beta prototype. Of course, you can use one or more of these tools to communicate a single concept. Let me show you an example of some of these for this product, and we will talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each. The first is the verbal description. Let me read a few of them. The product is lightweight electric scooter that can be easily folded and taken into with you inside a building. The scooter weighs about 25 pounds. Speeds up to 15 miles per hour. The scooter can be charged or recharged in about 2 hours. So what does about 25 pounds may be hard to articulate, and maybe better to actually provide them with a block that weighs 25 pounds so that they can experience this weight. But what does the verbal description do very well, though? I think it gives facts very well, specifications like the speed, the charging. I don't get that from the picture actually. The second way to communicate the concept to customers is using a sketch. A sketch is available early on, and you can use it early or later. But later, you may have more real models. The next one is rendering. This is a CAD rendering, one step up from a sketch. It gives a bit more feel for the product concept. However, it usually does not have enough details to produce the product from, for example. A storyboard creates the illusion of the dynamic behavior of the product concept by showing the concept in several different configurations and circumstances. That is, it can be stored as you can see here, and it can be folded and wheeled for transportation, and this is in its totally upright position where its functional position. One step up from a storyboard may be showing a video or a demo of the product concept. Here is a 3D CAD model. It is similar to a rendering but a bit more detailed. Maybe later on in the process it becomes available. They have actually done all the details and dimensioning on this model. Okay. This is a looks like prototype. It is an appearance model. You cannot write this prototype. You can look at it, however, and get a feel of its properties or proportions. It is usually made of wood or foam and painted to look like the real one. Work like prototype. Again, this doesn't necessarily look exactly like the final product. However, you can actually use it and write it to get a feel of how would the final product work and functions. So you get a feel of how does it work and not how does it look. So you may need both prototypes, a look like prototype and a works like prototype, in order to give the customer a full experience of the real product. Or you can actually have this prototype, which is called a beta prototype, which is usually a pre-production look-like and works-like prototype. However, it's made from pre-production tooling, soft tooling. Others, you can show a video, animation, a live demonstration of the product concept. Okay, let's look at the breakdown of what would a survey look like and what are the important components of a successful survey. In the first part of the survey, you want to establish or verify that the respondent fits the definition of the target market. So you ask these what we call screener questions. How far do you live from campus? How do you currently get to campus? How do you currently get around campus? If the customer does not fit the target market, then you just thank them and not proceed with the rest of the survey. The second part of the survey deals with the product description. Here you present to them the one paragraph description and the storyboard and or the prototype. You might do 2 or 3 of these before you ask them the essential question. Would you buy something like that? So part 3 of the survey is the purchase intent part. You might ask them questions such as the following. If the product were priced according to your expectations, how likely would you be to purchase the scooter within the next year? There are a couple of keywords here. First of all, pricing according to your expectation. There are 2 schools of thought here. The first, we show them the price, and the other, we don't. The basic idea of not showing the price is to separate interest from right price. As long as they like it and it's priced right, then we are okay. In a market where there are competing products, then there are price expectations. In a market where there is no reference price, then you may ask them, what is your expectation price? So you are separately get their interest in the product and their expectation price. Then you can find out if they match. You can find out the sales volume based on interest in the product and price. You can say, look, I can get this volume, but I cannot do it for this price. This survey shows 5 boxes. Only these 2 boxes do count. These 2 boxes. I would definitely purchase the scooter. I would probably purchase the scooter. These are usually called by the market people top and second box. What fraction of customers check these boxes is an indication of sales potential. The last part of the survey is sort of the open-ended questions. So you can ask them for the expected price. What would you expect the price of the scooter to be? You can also ask them to provide suggestions for improvement. Can you make any suggestions for improving the product concept? Let us talk a little bit about the analysis. How do we compute sales volumes? We use a simple equation, Q equal N times A times P, where Q is the sales estimate, annual sales estimate. N is the number of potential customers or annual purchases. For an existing product category, N is easily estimated. It would be a fraction of those people or customers, like bicycles to college students. We can look that up somewhere. But scooters to college students, that is a new product category and may be harder to estimate. In this case, we may want to approximate it by looking at either a fraction of all college students, or you can use a related product such as bicycle sales to college students. Then, what fraction of those would buy a scooter instead of a bicycle? A is a factor that reflects both product availability, if it's available in the store near you, and customer awareness of the product, and that is impacted by promotion, advertisement, and display. P is the probability of purchase, which is calculated based on the proportions of top box, F definitely, and second box, F probably respondents. C def and C prob, those are calibration constants set based on experience with similar past products. They are discount factors. By what fraction do we discount the number of people that said I will definitely or probably buy the product? Bias of respondents to overestimate purchasing the product. This is what C def and C prob present. If 10% of the surveyed customers said, we will definitely buy it, I don't believe I'm going to sell it to all of them. I need to discount it, say, by 90%. So if 10 people said they will buy it, I will believe one person. Generally, CDEF is between 0.1 and 0.5, and CPROB is between 0 and 0.25. Absent prior history, many product development teams use values of CDEF equals 0.4 and CPROB equals 0.2. This is a numerical example showing an application of the equation Q equal N times A times P, and this is performed for college student market. N equal off-campus graduate students, and that's estimated to be 200,000. A 0.2 and P 0.4 and 0.2 for the top box and the second box, and thus Q will be equal to N times A times P of 2,000 units per year. The same example can be applied for the factory transport market instead of the college student market, and in this case N becomes the current bicycle and scooter sales to factories, which is currently at 150, A 0.25, top box and second box 0.4 and 0.2, resulting in a Q of 6,000 units per year. Some discussion questions about the chapter. Why do respondents typically overestimate purchase intent? Some of the reasons for that could be it is a lot cheaper to check the box, but to actually pay for it is a lot harder decision to make. Another reason is possibly pressure to participate in the survey and say yes. Third reason, all these numbers, the equation Q equal NA times P, are fuzzy to start with and can result in an over or underestimate to purchase intent. Another reason is you show a really nice picture of the concept, but later you don't deliver when the product is ready in the market. It does not look anything similar to what you showed the customers. Another reason is if you ask the open-ended question without asking what is the right price. If it is priced right, would you buy it? So maybe that's a reason. Finally, customers check other products, competitor products, the competition before they buy, and the surveys do not usually show or capture that. Might they ever underestimate intent? Yes, that's possible due to several reasons. One is change of mind due to word of mouth later, that it is a good or bad product. Another reason is customers don't want to be bothered with pushing for sales if they check will buy. How to use price in surveys. We talked about this in the lecture actually. How much does the way the concept is communicated matter? When shouldn't a prototype model be shown? If sometimes does not actually work because it is a prototype, if the prototype does not actually work, it becomes so frustrating and customers may be turned off with the concept. So you don't want to show them a prototype if it doesn't really work well. How do you increase sales Q? Q equal N times A times P, so by affecting those variables somehow. And you cannot, so A times A is basically what you need to work on. Finally, how does early qualitative concept testing differ from quantitative testing? I talked about this in the first few slides of this lecture.